What's the best advice you can give to our community in terms of raising the graduation rate?
What courses for life skills would you like to see in the future in middle and high schools to help better prepare kids for after graduation?
Today, our Real School hosts are real journalists. As they sit down in a one-on-one interview you won't see anywhere else.
Watch as they discuss graduation rates and student success with Alma Powell and Jacksonville Mayor Alvin Brown. It's an ambitious campaign with one very important goal: achieve a 90% graduation rate nationwide. Thanks for watching this episode of Real School. I'm Adriana Sorensen.
And I'm Jacob Pinkney. We'll have more on Grad Nation and the Education Summit in just moments. But first, here's a look at what else you can expect today on Real School. These students are strutting their stuff and working the runway. Coming up, we've got front row seats to the fashion event of the year, held at one of our exceptional student centers.
Plus, this elementary school is breaking ground on new adventures in reading. Find out how a new reading gazebo may soon be breaking records here in Duval County.
And I'm Brianna Tawitcha. Something good is cooking in the kitchen as aspiring chefs race the clock in a culinary contest. Stay tuned because I've got the dish on who took top prize in the Cooking Up for Change competition.
Thanks, Brianna. We'll have those stories and more, but first, let's get to our top story. It's a Real School first. Our hosts are meeting face-to-face with a nationally known education advocate and the mayor of the city of Jacksonville.
This opportunity came thanks to the Education Summit held in conjunction with the America's Promise Alliance. Jacksonville is one of 100 cities selected as a Grad Nation community. Real School reporter Jesse Rhodes and Brianna Tawitcha were there. Jesse joins us with more. Hey, Jesse.
How many journalists, or even middle school students, can say they've interviewed Alma Powell and Mayor Alvin Brown? Well, Brianna and I can say we have.
We are moving forward, dedicated to rising the graduation rates.
Welcome to the 2014 Grad Nation Education Summit. Here, student success is top priority, and the message is clear.
No more high school dropouts in Jacksonville, Florida.
The Grad Nation Summit is a campaign of the America's Promise Alliance, a foundation dedicated to helping America's youth. Their goal is to see the nation's graduation rate hit 90% by the year 2020.
Earlier this year, for the first time in the nation's history, we reached the important milestone of an 80% national graduation rate.
That's Alma Powell, the summit's keynote speaker and chair of America's Promise Alliance. Powell is the wife of former U.S. Secretary of State Colin Powell, who founded the alliance in 1997. After hearing from Powell, participants had a chance to break out into smaller sessions and discuss topics more important to the youth in our city: early learning, literacy, and achievement. While these sessions were taking place, Brianna and I met with Mrs. Powell and Mayor Brown.
Based on your experience with America's Promise Alliance, what's the best advice you can give to our community in terms of raising the graduation rate?
Well, your community is definitely on track for raising the graduation rate. And what advice I have is, remember that it takes all of us working together to reach the goal.
How do you get a parent who didn't really enjoy school or their education to encourage their kids to get a better education so they can learn more?
That's a very good question, because it's one of the most difficult questions we have to answer in many communities. So you've got to help them understand how important it is, how important learning is. And you do that by providing learning opportunities for them, like the Parent Academy that exists here in Jacksonville.
Earlier this morning, you said when students are not graduating from high school, the community has failed them. Why is that the case?
Well, because I think as adults, as parents, as business leaders, as civic leaders, we all should make sure that we invest in our students and teachers, and when one kid is not going to be successful, we all fail.
Brianna and I learned a lot, and we weren't the only ones. The hundreds of attendees were informed, inspired, and engaged in public education. This is the second year the city has hosted an education summit. With last year's Dr. Bill Cosby and this year's Alma Powell, I wonder who will be next. Back to you guys at the studio.
Among the speakers at this year's Grad Nation Summit was our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Nikolai Vitti.
He joins us right now with Real School anchor Desiree Lee.
Hey guys, and thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Grad Nation seeks to mobilize and rally a community around a goal of 90% graduation rate in the 6 years. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I think it's certainly realistic, and we should have high expectations when we're talking about the number and the percentage of kids that graduate. We know that today, in today's economy, it's hard to really do anything without a high school diploma. And so 90% I think is something that is realistic we should strive for. We have our highest graduation rate ever right now at 72. And we are looking to exceed the state average going into this year and outperform the largest of the Big 7 school districts in Florida the following year. So I think 90% is a challenge, but something that we should try to work towards.
I agree. Now, does the sole responsibility rest with the school district, and what can the community do to help?
Well, I think a lot of people own the responsibility. First off, I think parents and caregivers always have to push their children to not only try hard at school, but to attend school. And they have to make sure that when their student, their child isn't doing the right thing, that they're asking for parent-teacher conferences, they're going to the school and just monitoring how their children are doing. I think the school system owns the process of making sure that we are helping students when they're falling behind and we're giving them multiple opportunities to catch up. I think it's also our responsibility to offer great programming for kids so that they can find something that they enjoy doing so that they actually go to school and are excited to go to school every day. And then the greater community has a responsibility in providing additional resources to fill gaps that exist for students and parents so that when those gaps exist, they don't create the barriers to preclude or prevent a child from graduating from high school.
All right. Here in Duval County, our graduation rates are higher than ever. What has been the district's strategy, and what's our plan to continue the upward trend?
Well, one thing I think we've done is ensure that we have acceleration programs in every high school. No matter what side of town you're on, you have access to accelerated programs like early college or international baccalaureate, ACE, dual enrollment programs. I think we also have done a better job of focusing on individual students. So oftentimes we know 11th graders might just be a couple credits short, or 12th graders might be a couple credits short of going into graduating from high school. So I think we're problem solving and analyzing data for individual students. I think our guidance counselors, our graduation coaches are just more involved in individual students' situation, and that we're helping them problem solve to make sure that kids aren't falling through the cracks. And I think if we continue to analyze data and problem solve and make relationships with kids, we can prevent that dropout rate from increasing.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Back to you guys.
Thanks, Desiree. In case you didn't know, Duval County is already planning for the new school year. That means budget planning. Our superintendent and board have made a commitment to hear from you.
That includes getting feedback from everyone, especially those who stand to be impacted the most, students. Real School anchor Patrick Wright joins us with details.
Adriana and Jacob, we're talking about a unique opportunity for middle school and high school students who met Dr. Vitti and shared their thoughts about the district's budget.
You know, if you were the superintendent or if you were a board member, what would you make a priority?
I think this is an absolutely wonderful chance for students in these schools to talk about what they feel needs to be done to improve the schools, as well as what needs to be cut to get those improvements in there.
Here inside of the Wolfson High School Media Center, you'll find students from all areas of the district. They've been invited to a special roundtable discussion, Building a $1 billion budget. Yep, that's billion with a B. School board member Ashley Smith Juarez joined Dr. Vitti in the discussion.
I'm happy to, as we go through this process, answer questions that you have or connect with you on things that would be the board's decisions at the board level.
But before students shared their suggestions, Dr. Vitti took time to explain where the district gets its funding. For example, Dr. Vitti shows students that even though the district gets most of its money from the state, leaders are restricted in how it's used. For students like Jalen McKinney, this was one of the more eye-opening aspects of the discussion.
I thought that they could just get the money what they have and put it in what they think is better for our school, but I never know that they had a limit of what they could reach with their money.
From there, each student was given a task. Write down 5 items you think should be high priority in next year's budget.
To extend and certification in certain areas so that we create a more innovative instruction and diverse learning that is tailored to each student individual needs.
Well, what's important to me is kind of the classes that we take in school, definitely the ACT and SAT prep classes, because for upperclassmen, ACT and SATs are very important for college.
I wrote down we should have more teachers because the class size, my class is pretty big.
Mine was extracurricular activities, particularly sports. Uniforms for sports aren't there, fundraising is hard.
After hearing from students, Dr. Vitti asked students another question.
Knowing what you think we fund, what would you take off the plate?
Students quickly learned that building $1 billion budget isn't as easy as it looks. But in the end, they say they were thrilled for the chance to be a part of this process and making their voices heard.
Well, I was very excited to talk to him today, and I feel like it was a great opportunity to be picked out of the whole school to come and talk to the superintendent.
I think it shows absolutely great leadership, and I know that at our schools we try to focus on leadership and trying to bring leadership out of students, and he just made a wonderful example by doing this.
Over the last 2 months, Dr. Vitti and the school board have hosted a total of 9 community budget town hall meetings throughout the district and in schools. They'll now take what they've learned to identify priorities for next year's budget. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, Patrick. The Great Outdoors is meeting the classroom in one Duval County elementary school as school leaders and volunteers break ground on an exciting new project.
Work is currently underway at Ramona Boulevard Elementary to build what is expected to be the largest reading gazebo in the district. Board members Fel Lee and Constance Hall grabbed some hard hats and shovels and led the school's official groundbreaking ceremony. This project has been made possible thanks to a grant from Lowe's, as well as the help from the Rotary Club of Northeast Florida and Register Contracting.
Volunteers will erect a 28-foot gazebo for students to enjoy reading outside. At the same time, students are also laying the foundation for their own gardens. Students from every grade level will have a chance to plant vegetables and other plants in flower beds they helped measure and make. School leaders say this project has been many months in the making, and they believe it will provide students with new and unique learning experiences. Ramona Boulevard is working hard to ensure everything will be done by the end of the year in time for their annual picnic. Good luck!
We are just getting started with this episode of Real School.
Here are some more great stories coming your way.
A decades-long tradition hits even higher notes of excellence at J. Allen Axon Montessori School. Stay with us as we go on stage with the school's kindergarten opera.
Hey guys, I know a lot of you are getting ready for prom, but what are you going to wear? I'm Jada Sevilla, and coming up, I'm going to take you to a style and fashion show sure to give you great ideas. Keep it here. Real School will be right back.
Welcome back to Real School. Duval County students are cooking up good ideas and good food, competing for the chance to take their culinary skills to the nation's capital.
Sounds delicious. Real School reporter Brianna Tawicha is here with the delectable details. Brianna?
Hey guys, I'm hungry just thinking about all the great dishes our students came up with. The best part is, this food doesn't just taste good, it's good for you. Chopping, stirring, rolling, and mixing. If it looks and smells like you're in the middle of a professional kitchen, well, you are. We're inside of Sandalwood High School's culinary lab, and this is the 3rd annual Cooking Up Change competition.
It's a program that wants kids to think about and get excited about healthy school lunch and changes that we could possibly implement in Duval County cafeterias.
Culinary students from Frank H. Peterson, Terry Parker, and Sandalwood High Schools are all vying for a chance to win and head to the national finals in Washington, D.C. But before you assume these students could make whatever they wanted, think again. They had to create a delicious, nutritious school lunch under a tight deadline and a strict set of rules.
You can add no salt, it's all low sodium. So you have to rely heavily on local produce like the fruits and vegetables to bring that nice, fresh, crisp taste to it, and seasoning with herbs and seasonings that do not include salt.
Each team's meal consisted of a vegetable side, a half cup of fruit, and an entree. To help them prepare for the big competition, students got help from Chartwell's Thompson Dining Services.
Each school has had a chef mentor to help them through the process, build their menus, work on their techniques, and be able to execute these dishes flawlessly.
And to spice things up even more, the district enlisted the help of local professionals to not only observe students, but also serve as judges.
I am looking at their techniques, some of the ingredients that they're using, just how they're using it, making sure they have clean cutting boards. So I'm just kind of watching and observing things like that. When I was growing up, we didn't have this. We had a home ec program, so we didn't have culinary programs like this. And so it's awesome seeing kids getting interested in it at this age, and I think there's a lot of potential in the room.
After about an hour and a half of cooking, it was time for students to begin plating their food and present to the judges panel. Each team conducted a short presentation on what made their dish delicious and healthy. Then, the moment of truth. Congratulations, guys! This year's winners are Bria Pascua, Brandon Antonelli, and Rosalia Miranda of Sandalwood High School. And feast your eyes on their winning dish. It's a Thai chicken wrap, blue slaw, and grilled pineapple yogurt shortcake.
It was the best part of my senior year. Yeah, it was really fun.
It makes me realize that there's more to, just food that is handed to you. You can make food your own and it'll be twice as better for you.
Honestly, I couldn't do anything without my teachers. They're mostly what made everything happen for me and my team, and I'm grateful.
By the way, did you know that Brandon and Bria won the district competition last year, earning a trip to DC? I'd say this group has a pretty good chance of chopping the competition. Can't wait to hear more about it. Back to you.
Thanks, Brianna. This next story is sure to put a smile on your face and a song in your heart.
I couldn't agree more. Right now, we're taking you to J. Allen Axon Montessori School for an unforgettable and unbelievable performance.
Will you help us, please? Help us get out of this net.
Aren't they adorable? You're watching a group of kindergartners and pre-kindergartners perform an opera for their peers. And this isn't just any performance. This is a completely original work. Students came up with the storyline, characters, and words. Wow.
Their teacher tells us in order to prepare for the big show, students began learning about the opera in January. Then, they began coming up with their own ideas. Students wrote poems that would eventually be put to song, and they began practicing after spring break. Now that's what I call impressive.
It was fun to be in the opera, and I really liked to sing.
What was it like being in this opera today?
It was like being fun. It was about sea dragons and the sharks and also a mermaid.
Children love opera, and I think parents are a little afraid of it and they tend to shy away because they don't understand a lot of it. But once they're exposed at a young age, they really enjoy going and listening to the big operas themselves. So I felt it was important to bring that into the curriculum and to let them be a part of it.
In case you were wondering who put together this beautiful set, it was all done with the help of the parents. This is the 10th year kindergartners at J. Allen Axon have written and performed their own opera. We are now entering our final stretch of Real School.
Here's what's coming up right after the break.
This initiative will succeed because this little school and my faculty and staff is living proof.
This principal was moved to tears of joy as Dr. Vitti made an exciting new announcement.
I'm Desiree Lee. Coming up, we're breaking down the incentive program guaranteed to reward some of the best teachers in the district. Don't change the channel. Real School will be right back.
Success doesn't happen overnight.
You think we were handed a trophy?
We earned it.
9 times.
9 times. You want it bad enough?
Go get it. Go get it. Undefeated state champions.
Being a champ takes hard work.
It begins with educational excellence for every one of us.
Every one of us.
On the court, in the classroom, year-round.
All day.
Every day. Every day. Every day. Every day.
Keep your head in the game.
Guys, we can do this. It's amazing. I'm getting choked up with it, but I can tell you, these kids can learn.
It was a special morning at Rutledge Pearson Elementary School as the community celebrated an unprecedented effort to retain high-quality teachers in our highest needs schools.
Thanks to a partnership between business leaders, philanthropists, and community groups, a select group of teachers are now eligible for up to $20,000 in incentives.
It's all part of a strategy to attract, recruit, and retain great teachers in 36 schools. These incentives wouldn't be possible without the Community Foundation for Northeast Florida's Quality Education for All Fund. The QEA Fund is made up of privately raised dollars. Board Chair Becky Couch and Board Member Paula Wright joined Dr. Vitti at Rutledge Pearson as he led a news conference about the QEA Fund. Other guests included Wayne Weaver, Chair of the QEA Board, as well as the Community Foundation of Northeast Florida's President and CEO Nina Waters. Dr. Vitti says the news conference was held at Rutledge Pearson because it's a leading school that is home to many high-quality teachers.
Looking at that data, we recognize that there are already great teachers in these 36 schools, and that we have to do a better job of retaining them and keeping them here so they don't go to more suburban-like schools, or they don't leave education, or they don't go into leadership. They stay here.
This investment will take place over the next few years. Operations for the QEA Fund will be managed by the Jacksonville Public Education Fund.
Now let's turn to Real School anchor Desiree Lee.
She's joined by Dr. Nikolai Vitti, who's here to shed more light on this new plan.
Hi guys. First of all, Dr. Vitti, what an exciting opportunity. Tell us about QEA and how it came about. What does this investment say to all of Duval County?
Well, QEA stands for Quality Education for All, and over the past year, I've had the fortunate opportunity to engage some of our philanthropists throughout Jacksonville to raise money for our traditionally lowest performing schools. And one of the Achilles heels, I think, in our school district is that we don't have all of our students graduating on time, and we don't have all of our students reading at grade level or being at grade level in math. So these philanthropists were engaged in order to fill gaps that we have in our school system. And one of the gaps that we have is having a great teacher in front of our lower performing students from kindergarten all the way to 12th grade. And so some schools have historically been lower performing. And we know that kids are certainly able to do better. And the biggest difference maker for a student academically is a great teacher. And we have great teachers in our lower performing schools, but we don't necessarily have the best teacher from kindergarten all the way to 12th grade in every subject area. So this initiative is about incentivizing the great teachers that are already at these schools to stay, and the great teachers outside of these schools to think about relocating to work in one of these lower performing schools over the next 3 years.
All right. We know these efforts are being focused at 36 schools. Why these schools, and what will they see?
So as a district, we looked at student achievement data, so really how kids were doing in reading and math, from 3rd grade to 10th grade, and we put all of our 160 schools in thirds, top third, middle third, and bottom third. Okay. And what we saw was that, and then we looked at feeder patterns. We took all elementary, middle, and high schools and again put them in thirds. And what we found is that 86% of our schools, from elementary, middle, and high school, 86% of the lowest third of schools were in the Ribault Range Jackson feeder pattern. And so we know that our kids can do better. And we know that oftentimes it's really, as I said earlier, about having a great teacher, because we know that even kids that are below grade level can catch up when they have a great teacher. So the focus is on the Ribault Range Jackson feeder pattern because statistically we see that the students in those feeder patterns are behind when it comes to reading and math. So this is a way to incentivize the great teachers to stay there and great teachers to move to those schools.
Great. Financial incentives are being offered. Why these specific amounts?
Well, in the past, we've tried $5,000, $3,000, more of a signing bonus to work in one of these 36 schools, but we've never offered $20,000. And $20,000 is a lifestyle change, a significant one. And so other districts have, at the highest, they've gone as $10,000, and that was just for one feeder pattern. We're the first school district to use $20,000 for 3 feeder patterns, and we believe $20,000, as I said earlier, is a lifestyle change, and that could really change someone's thinking about being at one elementary school and thinking, you know what, I'm willing to take that challenge to go to another elementary school in these part of the Ribault Range Jackson feeder pattern because of that incentive. Ultimately, teachers do what they do because they love kids and they believe in the potential that students have, but finances matter, and you can change someone's mind who's on the fence about relocating through an incentive like that.
Thanks for joining us, Dr. Vitti.
Thank you.
Back to you guys.
For our next story, we're calling all fashionistas.
Duval students are giving runway models a run for their money as they put on an amazing fashion show for their parents and peers. Real School reporter Jada Sevilla is here to fill us in.
Hey guys, if you don't know what to wear to prom, look no further than this school. They've got class, style, and fashion. Forget New York Fashion Week, because fashion is king here in Duval County. This is the 10th annual prom fashion show at Palm Avenue Exceptional Student Center. The theme is Soaring Over the Top.
Our children are very important and special to us, and it gives them a forum to shine and just put the emphasis all on them, show them how to act, show them how to dress in a formal setting, and just encourage social interaction for them amongst their peers.
Palm Avenue students took turns working the runway before proud family and friends. From floor-length gowns to three-piece suits, students had a blast rocking a wide variety of prom-ready fashions.
Was it fun? It was fun, and I enjoyed myself, and they did a really good job.
All of the clothing was donated to the school from local groups including Dignity You Wear and the Jacksonville Public Library. All of the neat celestial themed decorations are all thanks to the tireless staff and volunteers who made this even happen. Students have been practicing for the show since February. In keeping with the theme, the show is divided into smaller sections with fun titles such as Celestial Comets, Mighty Meteorites, and Stellar Stars. That's where a lot of personalities shine through. Nice.
They're still regular kids at heart. They love to dance. They love to have fun, hanging with their friends. So they do everything that every other student loves to do.
When it came time for the big finale, the crowd was treated to one last look. Clearly, this show was about much more than just fashion. It was about having fun and building confidence.
I love it. It really helps with her self-confidence, her poise, so she really enjoys it every year.
It's definitely a self-esteem booster. Some of the students who are normally shy and reserved, it pulls them out of their comfort zone, and then they just are willing, and it just creates an opportunity for them to continue to blossom and grow.
When she started at Palm Avenue, you could barely get her to talk to you, look you in the eye. Now she is like a chatterbox. I can barely get her off the phone. She has tons of friends, and her confidence level has gone through the roof since she started at Palm Avenue.
The timing of this fashion show couldn't have been better. A few weeks later, they had their own prom. Maybe next time they'll invite me. Back to you guys.
Before we go, we want to remind you about the Pet Rally for Education and the district's 150th birthday party. It's just weeks away.
Saturday, May 31st will be a day of fun-filled educational experience for the entire family. This year's celebration will be at the Jaguars Cabanas Fans Entertainment Zone from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. We couldn't make this celebration happen without the help of our great partners. Our celebration spirit captain is City Year in partnership with CSX.
Runners and their families are encouraged to join us. Following the run, guests will enjoy a vendor expo and fair with food, fun, and entertainment. And don't forget the kids, who will also have a run of their own sponsored by Publix.
For more information about our other activities, which include a birthday party for our mascot, DJ, visit peprallyjacks.com.
From all of us here at Real School, thanks for watching.
We'll see you again in June. Till then, have a great day.